They face charges of promoting enmity between different groups and face up to 5 years in prison if convicted. The accused are yet to be questioned, yet alone arrested. But in the new video, she tells the police, you should send a message that you are not biased. Another hate speech accused, Yati Narsimhanand, who says, Ladka hamari taraf hoga, that the police officer is with them. Then everyone in the room burst out laughing while the police officer smiles and nods sideways. The local police says they can't stop anyone from smiling, but insisted their investigation will be unbiased. The videos from the Dharm Sansad event, held from December 17th to December 20th, have been widely criticized by former military chiefs, activists, opposition parties and even international personalities. Prabodhanand says he has no regrets and will organize more Dharm Sansads.
धर्म संसद की कोर कमेटी ने चिंतन करने के बाद निर्णय लिया कि पूरे विश्व में इस्लाम का जिहाद इस धरती के लिए मानवता को बचाने के लिए समस्या बन गया है कि जिस प्रकार से हरिद्वार में धर्म संसद का आयोजन किया गया उसी प्रकार पूरे भारत में धर्म संसदों का आयोजन किया जाएगा.
The accused wanted to file FIR against Muslim clerics of Haridwar for allegedly working against Hindus. Later police responded saying they are still investigating the matter. They cannot stop anyone from laughing.
कौन क्या बात कर रहा, हंस के क्या बात कर रहा, वो मना तो नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन जो हमारे कोतवाल इंस्पेक्टर कोतवाली थे उनका वहाँ जाने का मेन मकसद ये था, हमें ये पता लगा था कि जो नामजद व्यक्ति हैं वो वहाँ पर उनकी उपस्थिति है. इस सूचना पर वो वहाँ उनको नोटिस तामील कराने गए थे जो कि इन्वेस्टिगेशन का पार्ट है.
But on the contrary, in the case of hate speech, police is yet to register case against Yati and Prabodhanand, who were the organizers of Dharm Sansad. With Saurabh Shukla, Osama Shah for NDTV.
In Uttar Pradesh's Amethi, a teenage SC/ST girl was beaten mercilessly. In gut-wrenching visuals we're about to play out, a group of people are seen repeatedly hitting the teenager with a stick and questioning her as well. Congress's Priyanka Gandhi Vadra tweeted that video with a warning for the Adityanath government.
A scheduled caste child being mercilessly beaten by a group of adults. Some even recording the incident on their mobile phones, but nobody stopping the attack. Congress's Priyanka Gandhi tweeted the gut-wrenching video questioning the Yogi government about the atrocities against Dalits and women in the state under his rule. There have been approximately 34 cases of atrocities against Dalits every day in the state and about 135 crimes against women, she says. This horrific incident, videos of which have been shared widely since, happened over a week ago at this house of Suraj Soni, a history sheeter who has been to jail before, even charged under the Gunda Act. The police say a case has been registered under POCSO and SC/ST Acts and they are investigating the matter.
त्वरित रूप से थाने पर सुसंगत धाराओं में अभियोग पंजीकृत कर लिया गया है. इस संबंध में माननीय सांसद महोदय का भी निर्देश प्राप्त हुआ है. इसी क्रम में घटना में शामिल एक नामित अभियुक्त की गिरफ्तारी कर ली गई है. शेष 2 अभियुक्तों की गिरफ्तारी के लिए टीमें लगा दी गई हैं. अतिशीघ्र उनकी भी गिरफ्तारी कर ली जाएगी. इस संबंध में पीड़िता की सुरक्षा के लिए पुलिस बल लगा दिया गया है.
Since then, the police say they've arrested a second accused too and continue to look for the third. However, after Priyanka Gandhi's tweet and the subsequent outrage, the house is now locked. It is only when the police started looking for the accused that they realized that the accused have fled. With Kamal Khan in Uttar Pradesh, this is Mariam Alavi for NDTV.
On to a story that gets more bizarre with every new twist that's reported. The case of UP businessman Piyush Jain, who was raided, leading to record recoveries by tax agencies. The opposition in UP has now claimed that the wrong Piyush Jain was raided, a charge officials are denying strenuously. Alok Pandey and Kamal Khan report on UP's comedy of errors.
By the end of raids that lasted over a week, the Directorate General of GST Intelligence made these recoveries from Jain. A massive 196 crore rupees in cash, 177 crores in Kanpur and 19 crores in Kannauj. 23 kilograms of gold valued at 11 crore rupees and 600 kgs of sandalwood oil valued at 6 crore rupees. In a statement to court, the agency has claimed Jan was evading GST by supplying taxable goods, perfumery compounds in this case, in an illicit manner using 3 firms run by him and his brother. The statement says Jan has admitted to illegal possession of 177 crore rupees in cash so far.
CGST एक्ट की विभिन्न धाराओं के अंतर्गत इसमें जांच हो रही है। उन्होंने किसी प्रकार का टैक्स इनवॉइस नहीं जारी करे, जिसमें उन्होंने अकाउंट्स नहीं रखे। उन्होंने सेल्फ असेसमेंट टैक्स जो दाखिल किया वो गलत तरीके से दाखिल करा।
This is the residence in Kannauj of Piyush Jain, the businessman whose properties in Kanpur and in this town were raided. His neighbors say that he was a simple man and somebody who clearly did not show off.
उसका व्यवहार बहुत अच्छा था।
अच्छा।
अब मालूम हुआ कि यहाँ पैसे वाले हैं।
Piyush Jain's neighbors in Kanpur told NDTV he was extremely low profile and rarely had visitors. If someone stood outside the house, the guard would immediately ask him to leave, according to neighbors.
लेकिन आप लोग को ये अंदाज किसी को यहाँ नहीं होगा कि कोई इतनी बड़ी बारामदगी यहाँ हो?
को भी अंदाजा नहीं, किसी को उम्मीद तक नहीं।
भाई और बहनों,
Coming in the middle of a high-pitch election campaign in UP, the raids have entered political speeches, with the BJP and Akhilesh Yadav's Samajwadi Party accusing each other of backing the now jailed perfume trader.
2017 से पहले भ्रष्टाचार का जो इत्र उन्होंने पूरे यूपी में छिड़क रखा था, वो फिर सबके सामने आ गया है।
Sources in the GST intelligence have told NDTV that the searches on UP businessman Piyush Jain were not a case of mistaken identity, but whereas a successful operation based on a specific intelligence of tax evasion by Sikar Pan Masala manufacturers and others. क्या पिछले एक हफ्ते में सर कोई आपके ऊपर किसी तरह की टैक्स की रेड या कोई इंक्वायरी या जीएसटी डीजीजीआई से कोई आया हो आपके प्रेमाइसेस में या आपके रेजिडेंस पे?
कोई नहीं आया, कुछ भी नहीं।
तो पुष्पराज जी, फिर मैं ये जानना चाहूँगा कि पिछले एक हफ्ते से जो आपने राजनीति होते हुए देखी है, प्रधानमंत्री तक ने बिना आपके नाम लिए, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि भाई समाजवादी पार्टी से सुगंध या दुर्गंध की बात की, करप्शन की बात की, इस तरह की बातें आपका नाम लेके क्यों उछाली जा रही हैं?
ये राजनीति है, राजनीति का स्तर बहुत नीचे गिर गया है।
Kannauj is a historical town and the perfume industry here has existed for many years. In fact, at the moment, I'm in a field where roses like this one are grown that will ultimately become part of perfumes that are sold not only here in India but also worldwide. It's ironical then perhaps that the latest political controversy in Uttar Pradesh, where elections are due in less than 2 months, has originated from here and from Kanpur, which is about 80-90 kilometers away. This is perhaps not the last that we have heard on these tax raids that have unearthed a massive 200 crore rupees just in cash and other valuables. The political pot shots over it are likely to continue. With Mohammad Israel and camera person Vineet Verma, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Quite the stink over a perfume maker. Moving on to some cricket news, India are now the favourites to win the Centurion Test even after their batting collapse. Shardul's wicket came in less than half an hour on day 4. He was gone for 10. Then KL Rahul throwing his wicket, though he did bat with some composure but losing his patience in the end. So India bowled out for 174 in the second innings, but that means they've still set South Africa a mammoth 305 runs to win the Test match. South Africa are currently already 2 wickets down at 60. They're trailing by 244. And as we go, we're very happy to announce that NDTV's Saurabh Shukla has won a Red Ink Award for Best Report for Broadcast on Politics. NDTV's report on the migrant struggle in Delhi winning that award. Saurabh Shukla's report tracked migrants who were unable to get even 1 square meal a day despite the announcements made by the Delhi government at the time. Time to slip into a very quick break. Reality check with Srinivasan Jain. Up next, does India face an Omicron-fueled third wave.
Presented by at 8 p.m.
सच दिखाते हैं ताकि दुनिया के बाजार में आजादी सस्ती न बिक जाए। कुर्सी पे बैठने वालों को जमीन की अहमियत याद रहे। सच दिखाते हैं हम ताकि पैसे की चमक से कभी हुनर ना पड़े फीका, खुदगर्जी खोखला न बना दे सोचने का तरीका। सच दिखाते हैं हम ताकि अच्छे विचार और आदर्श बस किताबी बातें ना रह जाएं।
चुनौतियां काफी ज्यादा हैं, बड़ी चुनौतियां हैं।
एक बेहतर कल चाहते हैं हम, इसलिए सच दिखाते हैं हम। एनडीटीवी इंडिया, जुबान पे सच, दिल में इंडिया।
We live in a time when post-truth has replaced truth, when alternate facts have replaced facts, when fake news has replaced real news. On Reality Check, we debunk propaganda. We separate fact from fiction. We expose falsehoods. We hold power to account.
Watch Reality Check weekdays at 8:30 p.m. with me, Srinivasan Jain, on NDTV 24/7.
Legacy is often seen as a burden of expectations. It comes with its own set of challenges. The challenge to take it forward, challenge to reimagine, challenge to be in the present, and also challenge to think about the future.
What accountability are you talking about?
As long as the core values and principles remain uncompromised. Debates are essential not just for journalism but for humanity. It ignites our mind, opens it up for counter-opinion. To hear all views, opinion of all hues. Which is why the oldest running debate show on Indian news television is not 22 years old, but it is young at 22.
इस इनिशिएटिव को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं कि सच को सच के रूप में पेश करने का उन्होंने साहस दिखाया।
So let us begin the big fight.
They say the zero is nothing unless it connects the dots and the real story emerges. Unless it captures the truth. They say the camera never lies. Unless it is the essence of India, of diversity and tolerance. Unless it reveals the wealth of nations and silences the barrel of a gun. Unless it reflects the sadness in the eye of the tiger as forests disappear. In fact, the dot is the center of your universe and of ours. The dot is the essence of NDTV.
You're watching Reality Check. As we hit the end of what has been a devastating year of the pandemic in India, we are again at an inflection point with the pandemic. On one hand, there are fears of an Omicron-fueled third wave. On the other, our vaccine rollout expands ever further, with the government now announcing booster shots for target groups and vaccines for children. The path of Omicron itself seems complex. Not all bad news. Even as it surges, it doesn't seem to be leading to the kind of devastation witnessed in earlier waves, at least in other countries. Now, it is certainly fueling waves, possibly in countries around the world. In the US, it's almost up 135% of cases. In the UK, up almost 150% cases. Denmark, up almost 180% cases. And South Africa, it crossed a 600% surge. And yet in South Africa itself, considered to be one of the epicenters of the Omicron wave, the virus seems to be falling off its peak as rapidly as it rose. If you just look at the average daily new cases for South Africa in a week-to-week comparison, right down to the most recent week, it's almost down by about 25%. Additionally, 3 recent studies are indicating that Omicron may be less of a threat than it seemed. These are studies that have been conducted around the world, that the infections might result in milder illness, even if it is more contagious. These were conducted in Scotland, South Africa and England. The Scotland study found that if Omicron was Delta, there will be 3x more hospitalizations. South Africa found that Omicron sufferers were 70 to 80% less likely to be hospitalized. The England study found that Omicron sufferers are 15 to 20% less likely to be hospitalized versus the Delta variant. Now in India, while Omicron numbers are rising, the absolute numbers are very low at the moment, hovering just under less than 1,000 cases. And the overall curve of the pandemic hasn't significantly risen yet if one looks at the COVID graph of the overall curve when it comes to India. However, a government lab has found that 25 to 30% of COVID cases in Delhi are Omicron, up from 2 to 3% 2 weeks ago, indicating that Omicron might silently become the dominant variant very soon. But unlike the second wave, Indians do have a greater degree of vaccine protection. India's vaccination status at the moment, fully vaccinated, we're talking of the whole population now, 42%, only one dose, 18%. All right, joining me tonight on Reality Check, we have a great panel with us. We have Dr. Jayaprakash Mulyal, who's chairperson of the Scientific Advisory Committee of the National Institute of Epidemiology, one of India's leading epidemiologists. Professor K. Srinath Reddy, President, Public Health Foundation of India. Viren Shetty, Chief Operating Officer from Bangalore, the Narayana Health Enterprise. And Dr. Rachna Kucheria, she's an epidemiologist, public health expert. Let me just start with you, Dr. Mulyal, to understand from you, based on all of this, all of these different numbers and trends that we're seeing, what is it looking like to you? Are we likely to see some kind of Omicron-fueled third wave in India, or not really?
It would be very easy to answer yes or no, but I am tempted to paraphrase it in terms of it was a shifting value system that we had to have. Initially, this came so rapidly, with the doubling time in certain areas, 2 days, it was frightening. But at the same time, it wasn't making any waves in terms of hospitalization, like you said. So that was a consoling thought. But the most important thing, or a piece of evidence that you narrated just now, is a rapid fall in South Africa. Remember, compared to Denmark, South Africa's method of collecting data is nowhere. So it looks like countries that have a good system of documenting all the new variant on testing have a higher rate of the Delta. On the other hand, one little information you left out in your presentation, we, like South Africa, have a huge naturally acquired immunity. And I think of late studies have shown that makes a huge difference. Now that is what I think India's trump card is. More than 80% have acquired immunity through infection, plus the 140 crore doses of vaccine. Given this background, we have to understand that we are in a great shape to face this Omicron.
Okay.
The wave may be there, but unless it creates a consequence in terms of health, then it is not to be worried about.
Okay, interesting. So what you're saying is, and just to kind of break this down a little bit for our viewers, that because of the fact that, and I think you're referring to what are called sero surveys, or which are sort of blood test surveys which are done, which show that a huge percentage of the population, much more than what the actual COVID positive, the tests show, that 70, 80%, in some cases, in some cities, almost 90% of the population may have already been infected with the virus. On top of that, the vaccine protection, you're saying that gives us some kind of Lakshman Rekha, some protection against Omicron. So even if